Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. It's the end of the road for poor old William Shamspeare, though he can count his lucky stars. It's just jail time, and not the fact that he could have shuffled off this mortal coil if Miss Green beside him had succeeded in her mission to assassinate him by poisoning the gas pipe he used to kill her lover, Duncan Ross. It's quite the Shamspearean tragedy, I must say, though if any good's coming out of it, it's that Soseki Natsume is about to be declared not guilty. So let's go and see this trial through to its end. Admit your guilt, both Miss Green and Mr. Shamspeare, please. Whoa. Oh, shameful spear, despair, be thy name. Good God, he just got shot in the middle of the air. He's down for the count. Where the heck did Miss Green go? She hustled off with her easel and box. Goodness me, Van Zieks can only look on in defeat. And I saw 2 jurors still have a guilty verdict. I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all. So you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods? Yet after you killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Well, that'll do it. I mean, this guy is freaking melting tea to put into his gas meter. Of course he was behind on the rent. Mr. Garrett really has had a lot to put up with. Tell me about it. The lodgings really are cursed. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then, this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. What about me? Poor me! Then 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance. But it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Shem spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, you once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Even though you didn't want to kill the man, but you thought, you know what, I'm going to replicate this method, and hopefully this time, Mr. Natsume won't die. Or maybe, the first kill's always the hardest, or something of the sort. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap. Oh, there you are. Where were you hiding?
William Shamspeare. How does it go? To be, or not to be? That is the question.
From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Yeah, Van Zieks, very impressive. We all know this quote by now. Okay, take it easy.
Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done.
Well, I mean, he looks remorseful. You okay? You're not still poisoned, are you? No, he's just hanging his head in shame. Well, well. I wonder what the loot contains.
At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died.
Oh no, a sad scene. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive.
The gas supply?
Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason.
That's no joke.
They say it's the convict's curse.
Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is.
Alright then, if that's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place.
There's spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight?
No, I'd better not. You said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember?
But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night he fell victim to the gas.
Oh, Mr. Ross.
If only I'd known that was going to happen. I'd have insisted he'd left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped Eastern-looking man with a moustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grub's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican. "That place is cursed, I tell you! Cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me! I wake up in the middle of the night freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked, no problem there. It's like I'm the problem." But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse?
I guess you're not the superstitious type, Miss Green.
Then I remembered a rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations.
A rumor? Oh, you mean...
Yes, everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes.
How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air to the pipework.
That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End.
Whoa, Miss Green, I thought you stole it from the pantry. Now you're shopping at black markets. You really have descended into darkness. A black market?
I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident? Or was it murder?
And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. What if you killed Mr. Man instead, Mr. Meter Man? Because he was going to test the pipes or something. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly. With a long nap, it seems.
I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare. And then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance.
Seems like a pleasant man. Goodness, it's always the good ones.
If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked.
And of course, Mr. Shamspeare followed the instructions to the letter.
I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. So I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done, and that it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts. Or just deserts, I guess. Not just desserts.
I wonder, what does just deserts mean? Oh, Miss Green. Oh, Susato's tearing up. Well, jury, up to you guys. 3 days ago, when you first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward.
Yes, my lord.
I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should subsequently find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend. Yes. And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Well, does that make us partners? I can't swing my leg up onto the bench, unfortunately, so I gotta work on my flexibility before we can start mimicking each other. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green.
Yes, my lord.
You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shamspeare.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mr. Shamspeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Soseki Natsume here present.
Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes?
Yesterday, at the hospital, when you and your friends stopped me from
ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle?
I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems.
Well, I am glad that you're still here, Miss Green. You'll answer for your crime and hopefully redeem yourself afterwards. Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green.
Huh?
And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. Exactly, right? Like, you could have made an irreversible mistake. I mean, you certainly made a really big one, and the majority of it is irreversible, but, Shamspeare's still alive. It's just attempted murder for now. The charge will be a little lighter, and hopefully you can find peace in the fact that Shamspeare's behind bars. For your sake, at the very least.
Oh, I'll finish him off in prison. I'll get a shiv and stab him in the back. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now, you've made the truth come out at last.
Maybe you can study art in prison. Paint on the walls or something. Not with Shamspeare's blood, mind you, just regular paint.
Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green.
Mr. Soseki Natsume!
Yes, my lord.
The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. You're forced to now, I'm telling you, you must. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty, maybe for the second time. The confetti rains down. I'm surprised Van Zeke stuck around to look at it. He doesn't seem like a confetti kind of guy. Or fireworks, mind you. Court is adjourned. Alright. Just one loose end to tie up. What was Selden's loot? Are we going to find out here and now, or are we going to have to wait till we get to present day again? 23rd of February, 3:24 p.m., the Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber.
Oh, yes. Yes, at last. Divine justice duly done.
Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that moustache. Please. He's taking that moustache with him back to Japan. You won't have to see it ever again, Mr. Shums.
No! This has nothing to do with my moustache. Some say that a luxuriant moustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. James. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Once again, you've saved me from doom.
I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days. God, I'm good at my job. Please don't hire me again. Probably because you're not going to get tried again, are you, Mr. Natsume? Are you?
I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in a great homeland empire. But I fucking hate it now. I'm never gonna research English literature again. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you?
But a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not?
You did. And I've seen more of the life in this week than in all my years to date. In a prison cell, believe it or not. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog.
My dear fellow, there is nothing special about the true face of the English as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences.
Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live.
Well said. I've come to feel the same way.
I've made a decision to... I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan.
I think that's for the best, if I'm being honest. At least you'll have proper dwellings. What?
Just when we'd become friends here in England. What a terrible shame. Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings, it really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. Oh my, so you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume. How wonderful. Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature.
I like how he just did that turn with his teeth still baring. Why not? When that is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache.
What? I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur. I, for one, would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious. From a battle with the Reaper. And, with the Reaper, you never know, third time could be the charm, and he puts you away. Yeah, that's very true. Sorry, Natsume, I didn't mean to drop my sacks like you do.
And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes! Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure. But that's not why I'm leaving! I mean it!
No one would fault you.
Objection!
Oh god. And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Soseki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikatoba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well. On the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial, on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Ooh, what could it be? What could it be? 24th of February, 10:13 a.m., Mr. Natsume's room.
Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvellous of you to uncover the secret hiding place in just one day.
Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellows, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? Oh god. Are you trying to clean up your skin prints, Gregson? By not even using your hands anymore, just munching on the chips straight to your mouth?
Gregsy's been happily munching in agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily. I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth.
So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready. let's examine the late burglar's hall. Okay. Can't wait to feast my eyes on it. What is that? Oh. Oh my. Blood on it and everything.
It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar.
Hound of the Baskervilles, perhaps? A collar. It's huge, though.
And look at all the gemstones set in it. I can see why it was claimed to be worth £1,000. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed on the inside there? There's some dark stains.
Mm-hmm. You don't think they could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it.
On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown.
Curious indeed. What does it signify, do you think?
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
You hadn't noticed the prominent emblem in the front, Iris? You were going to use it as a belt, for goodness sake.
I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know. Where could it have been?
That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? He got serious all of a sudden. All the color is drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, oughtn't you? Could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Yes. Get your grubby hands off that, you lot, and hand it over. Now! But my skin prints! They're all over it. I've never seen a collar that large before. And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me. At least, not once I'd noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar. Those stains. Could they really have been blood? I mean, it looks exactly like blood to me.
Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now.
And you look very pleased, Iris. I suppose we can store this away and not think about it for the next couple of months.
I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating. I'm going to take all the notes so you can refer to it later.
You're talking about the latest installment of The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I presume.
The mystery of the knife in the mist, and the mustached man and the convict's curse, perhaps. I could make it a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait.
Why? You were part of it, Susato. You're not going to learn anything new from reading it. A word, please, Iris.
Yes? What is it, Hurley?
I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question.
What? Why not? It's a great case.
Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear?
Yes.
Well done, Sherlock Holmes. Or Sherlock Sholmes, you've gone and broken her heart. Well, dramatic music plays.
And so it was that the second of Soseki-san's cases became buried in obscurity. Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story.
Why?
It took a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again, with an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Well, I had a feeling this would turn up after seeing a couple of advertisements for it, I believe, in the previous game, no? Including in the ill-fated omnibus that McGill had found himself immolated in. That's a wrap on case number 2. The Key of Knowledge. Thank you for that. We're diving straight into episode 3, come on! No time to waste. We're diving right in to the Great Departed Soul.
The
return of the
end
Great
of the
Departed Soul.
century Great Exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear of it. Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park. welcoming over 50 million visitors.
Jesus,
The last great hurrah of this century.
that's a lot of people.
Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success. But as regards to the terrible catastrophe that occurred during the festivities, very few are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case.
Oh, he and he alone, is it? No
And
mention of
like the
Ryunosuke.
centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park. Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to light.
Well, that image looks ominous. What's going on with the Crystal Tower?
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely packed with people. The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Damn, even back then, London's weather. Unusually, it's fine today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world. Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies.
Time of hope.
And today,
Of Marvel.
we'll showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future.
Skin prints! It's the cornerstone of forensic science.
A world first. A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Whoa. Okay.
A man will
A death
literally
ray.
be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location.
Okay. Well, color me interested and I'm ready to see what's going on.
Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before.
Well, this looks like the ship of Theseus. Reassembling someone after they've been disassembled.
In but a few moments from now, this gentleman will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
Oh god, I'm nervous. This poor man. Don't do it!
Yes! 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 Yes!
Oh god. You didn't test this, did you? In front of 50 million people. 22nd of October, 9:36 a.m. Sholmes' suite. I can smell the stench from here. Of the machinery literally burning to a crisp.
Runo, are you listening?
Oh, sorry. What was that, Iris?
What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast?
No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again? Remind me for the audience's sake.
Today's paper. It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again.
Ah, yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime. Please? I'll take you with me.
You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Hurley?
Oh, God. You always have to one-up me, don't you? Did you say something, Iris?
Oh gosh, you're even more down.
Ah! When did you arrive, Mr. Naruhodo? I've been here for about half an hour already. We don't need to start boxing. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I thought you might have known I was here, you know, because breakfast, I was munching in front of your very eyes. Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce the reason perfectly well with simple observations. What? Let's see. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning with all its unruly spikes. Clearly it can be deduced, therefore, that... let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going, and you're gonna be dead wrong. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Thanks again. Crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now.
6 months?
Since I was forbidden from working in court. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. I have no purpose here in London. I mean, what have we been doing this entire time?
Oh, well that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Hurley?
Did you say something, Iris? Back to moping. Is this how I look, Iris? When I mope about my lack of court activity? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? Seems even more down in the dumps than me.
I know! And the great exhibition has opened. You'd think you'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go and see it together?
I want to. Of course I do. But I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective, that's after all. So you're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from? Is that it?
I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Hurley.
It's one you can't write about. Again. Suppose I should try to find out what's going on. Fine. Let's converse. Events 6 months ago. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable, yet at the same time, unforgivable mistake. I tampered with the crime scene. Well, Susato did anyway. Worlds fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked, probably because I was on a winning streak and Van Zieks was upset. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing.
You have, haven't you, Rene? Reading all those big fat tomes about British law up in your room, and the notes about Sholmes' old cases.
Brewing Iris' special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruhodo. Oh man, I haven't even replaced Watson's role in Sholmes' life. I could have been his assistant. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. Specifically Lord Strongheart at the British Supreme Court on Whitehall. It's about time he made a reappearance.
Lord Strongheart?
Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. I can't do that just sitting around here. The Great Exhibition. The whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching.
Do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons.
Look down on? Do you mean those things? Fly?
Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air.
But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I cannot wrap my head around it. I can't understand it at all. What's next? These machines we can play games on?
That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. But in 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge.
I suppose there might be.
Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong on the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. It was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are.
Says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. Great Exhibition newspaper has been entered into the court record, a newspaper containing various articles about the world-leading science and technology on show at the Great Exhibition being held in London. Shadows cast behind. Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Your gloomy mood. Let's wrap things up with this. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add? That's not like you. You're a blabbermouth. You love to talk. What sort of case is it? Shh! Quiet, Mr. Naruhodo. We must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening.
You're acting very strangely, Hurley.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, usually, the more mysterious and complicated cases, the better Hurley's mood.
Ah.
Is it really a case that's bothering you?
Iris, please. You mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say. Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. Well, the crime scene. We can't move anywhere. Can we examine the newspaper? I see first test of matter transport device. Let's take a look at that. Every article on the front page is news about the Great Exhibition. Public experiments to demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe. It's also positive and hopeful about the coming century. Must all go to see it properly before too long. I guess so, but what's on the back? The Reaper attacked. What? Lord Van Zeek's and compatriot cornered. Who's his compatriot? And more importantly, this poor lost cat. St. Bartholomew's Hospital? Ruffians aim to do something about a man of justice? So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition and everything that's going on there. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what?
What's the matter, Rene?
The Reaper attacked? That's Lord Van Zeek's. This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? Interesting. Let's converse. The Reaper attacked. It says in the paper that Lord Van Zeek's was attacked. That's terrible. You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes, Prosecutor Barack Van Zeek's. Flashback, even though we literally just had a case with him. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's on the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Van Zeek's has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time? He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, It seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness! Is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zeek's hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? That's why I'm investigating.
Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zeek's and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition.
What the fuck? Clickbait existed all the way back then? It's like a serialized show. Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No. I can't wait till tomorrow. In that case, you shall have to inquire with somebody in the know. But who? Lord Strongheart, perhaps. Well, we know where we need to go. Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind, you main character syndrome suffering maniac. But now I'm wondering where you're going. Well then, see you later indeed. In the next 5 minutes, perhaps. Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door. Oh, God, Iris.
All right then, Rene, let's get going.
Oh, Iris, what are you wearing?
I've got change to go to the Great Exhibition. You're going to take me?
What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh, well that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there then?
Okay. Gun down, please. Alright, fine. You don't have to coerce me. Just lower that weapon, would you?
Of course. And after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to see the Great Exhibition.
I don't know, going to the Great Exhibition after the Supreme Court? It seems the wrong kind of order, doesn't it?